Hello and welcome, I'm Victoria Fritz and this is Your Money. It's the weekly guide to making the most of your cash. We're here every weekend on BBC News Television and available all week on the iPlayer. Coming up in the programme, wintry weather has already caused problems across some parts of the UK, with more bad weather expected in the next week. But will your boiler hold up against the big freeze? Our reporter Nigel Cassidy has some tips. Now, how is your plumbing and heating coping with this bout of cold weather? A warmish end to last year lulled many of us into a false sense of security. But now the wintry weather has woken up and the season of burst pipes is with us. British Gas says it's expecting over 200,000 calls for help this week alone. A sudden leak or boiler breakdown can be a real headache, especially if you're not prepared for it. Here's Nigel Cassidy.
It's been freezing outside and inside, the boiler's on the blink. But picking a plumber at random is an expensive lottery, though this one seems to know his stuff.
The boiler's been working hard all year round, and all of a sudden the temperature drops. So what's the first thing that you do? You reach in, you just turn that temperature up just slightly, just to get more heat into the property. Or if you have a room thermostat, you just turn that up. And that can just drive the boiler, particularly if it's an old boiler, just over the edge. If you've got an old-fashioned conventional type of system, which means that you have some tanks up in the loft, you need to make sure that they're lagged appropriately, that they have covers on them, and also a visual inspection of all of the pipework to make sure that it's thoroughly protected and insulated. A great little tip is check underneath the cold water tank and make sure that there's no lagging there. If you've got lagging, pull it out and leave that area bare, because what that will do is it'll allow the heat to rise up and raise the temperature slightly to prevent freezing.
Cold snaps bring easy pickings for rogue traders. So get recommendations, check qualifications and ask lots of questions.
Don't just leave the trader to get on with it. Keep popping in to make sure they're doing something. We've had cases where we've seen traders just hitting the side of a boiler with a spanner to make it sound as though they're doing some work, when actually they're just making the clock run up to the next charging period. So consumers have got every right to keep an eye on what's happening. The fact that we don't know what we're talking about sometimes leaves us very vulnerable to being exploited by those that want to exploit you.
So to avoid rogue plumbers, research trusted gas-safe tradesmen before you need them and keep the numbers in your phone. Ask about charges and how long the work will take before it begins, and know what to do about a leak yourself.
This won't seem obvious, but open the taps, kitchen, bath, sink, basin, let the water flow out. It will reduce the pressure on the leak. If you need to shut the cold water supply off to the boiler and you're looking for an old-fashioned stopcock, you won't find one. On a modern boiler, it's a screwdriver fitting, which literally opens and closes like that.
Emergency repairs are costly, so it's worth checking those pipes before temperatures drop once again. Nigel Cassidy, BBC News.